is is, is we'll set up a persistent tinycc URL with a persistent Zoom for just like we did with Haifa. And
Yeah.
if you want to push those direct into Vimeo,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just
Well, let's you and I talk about that, because I've actually been thinking about holistic system Zoom, and we don't have to go into that now, but I think we should. Yeah. And thanks. I appreciate the um
Yeah, I wanted to
the
make a
offer.
comment and to Basil, what you just said is that I'm realizing here that this conversation is a clear evidence that we have moved from how wonderful it would be if we could do this to how wonderful it is that we are a model of it. And we are embodying, we have the mindset, and we are bringing together, because of that mindset, new capacities to relate from this new paradigm already. And of course we have everything that resonates, and we're speaking from that perspective of not that we're going there, but this is where we are, and this is emerging. We are the interrelational context from which this will continue to emerge. And as we grow the venture, the community here, that begins to expand. And as we record what is emerging, we're actually capturing the best tool for others to begin to understand what is it that is emerging. It's wonderful. I'm very appreciative and grateful to have found you, and let the fun begin.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let the fun begin. I totally agree, and I'm pumped up all the time, because I wake up and get after it every day, because I am excited, because I do think that it's possible, it's actionable, that just, it's right now is feels like, the hard work, almost, really like, like growing it from the, like the seeds planted, the flower, the small
Lisa,
stuff,
you're
is there, but
muted,
like we've
Lisa.
got to really, grow it now into that full, the full bloom. And I think that, the more people that are able to come together, then the easier it's going to get. I mean, that's the idea. That's, that's the model.
Sure. And I think that it's important to recognize that there is a new capacity being exercised, because we're embodying a new perspective, and we have the shared vision, and we are pretty much conduits of what wants to emerge. So therefore the new capacities, in the sense of we're doing a new kind of communion as human beings, all part of humanity, that can simply not happen if you don't have this mindset.
Yeah. And to me, it's a very natural mindset. It's natural, and it's the mindset that is in our conventional society has had to be conditioned in. It has to continually get conditioned in.
I'll give you like right now today relevance. Like we just came back from Job Corps America, and so there's a government funded program run by corporations that are running facilities. And so this corporation, Bazell, they have 3 Job Corps, and the Tulsa one is like one of their shiny pieces that they're really trying to pump up nationally. But walking in that building, the security, the sort of every door is locked, the sort of drab environment, kind of like a prison. And it's the old University of Tulsa school, the original school. We're going to make it more beautiful with like Mr. Idea, one of our talent, and gardens and everything. But it's just like how do we, I was looking like, okay, with these kids that are being trained, they're 16 to 24, and they're learning how to go into the workforce in like Homeland Security and nursing, hospital work, all the industries, major industries, and government stuff. And it's like, I imagine that like with kids like that, what we can do with groupings, little gangs, little groups, little classes, is we can give them a treasury to govern. And we say, this is for your food for this month, and you guys have to consensus govern what you want to eat, and then you got a budget and how do you want to spend it, and then who's doing what, who's getting it, who's cooking it, whatever. And then we could teach like household economics or community economics, like legit, with just like spinning up these little test demo pilot classroom DAOs, or DHO, just systems, just to start to teach, to be considerate and thoughtful about like every single input and output, and not just like pushing out shit and like eating shit, being way more thoughtful about like how we're doing it, and with the goal that each one of those kids can sort of custom tailor their life over time, when we do our job right. We're far from that, maybe not too far. I mean, I've custom tailored my life, and I'm just trying to wait for the tech to be ready to replicate that for a lot of other people. But yeah.
Yeah,
Should
I would like to, Rob, were you gonna say something?
No, I was actually, yeah, no, I was, that's great. I had a question for you, but yeah, please share. Jump in, Jeff.
Yeah, I was thinking to try to organize how we make these conversations productive from the now, right? So that we create an intentionality for the conversation, for not necessarily expected outcomes, but an intentionality. So let's share about this with the hope that we're going to end up clarifying, always in the sense of moving forward, right? So maybe it would be great to share. One of the things I would like to know is how this organization was given birth to, how do you met, and what is the vision that you can articulate? I can read it there and I love it, that's why I'm here. And then where are we going? Big vision, but what we would like to accomplish within the next 3 months, kind of like to have a sense of a scope of how we begin to co-create, and then we have the boundaries of that space that we're going to be doing. So that, imagine if we could actually have some kind of agreement of what we ought to focus on to have happen within the next 2 or 3 months or so. I don't know if you like that idea, but
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to speak to that. I mean, how this thing birthed, for me, it just, again, I just think that we're all sort of having, like the same idea coming through, and, and then it comes this base idea comes through, and then it, like it comes through me and my lens and who I am, and then it comes through you and your lens, it comes through Basil's and and then it's just a matter of like bringing us together. For me, it was really, it came though, like through a, like, again, this kind of tangible manner, meaning like, okay, I started supporting like these helpers and, and healers, and I'm realizing, well, they don't really have enough resources. They want to, have these businesses, right? They're entrepreneurs, even if they just have a private practice where they see people. They're running a business, but they don't have like the resources to be able to do it well, so that's like that's a business problem, and the business, problem as it is that, that they're trying to, have a successful business, without really the resources or the know-how to do that, so, okay, so how do we solve that? but along with that, there's there's a deeper level, which is that's also a societal problem, because let's say that I go and I help this person and I get their business like optimized, to the best, and they're really successful. Well, that's just them. There's going to be all these other people that's, that aren't. So there's a larger societal problem. And, for me, when I look at everything that's going on and all the challenges facing the world, for me, I want to come at it at the economic realm. And I think that's, economics and like how everybody's getting their basic needs met. I think if people are getting their basic needs met, and if there wasn't such a incredibly, vast difference in the, accumulation or distribution of wealth, then a lot of those other problems, I think, can be solved easier. So, so basically, you bring those two together, and that's really how, holistic systems cooperative came about, which is saying like, okay, it's really about, to me, it's about the transition, the whole thing is about this transition, right? So it's how do we get to where we want to be? But how do we take care of ourselves in the now? Because, we're in the systems that we're in now. And so, really it's, the idea was to take these two kind of symbiotic groups, take small businesses, and we start with this niche, helpers, healers, and visionaries. Doesn't necessarily have to be them. And then you take the professional talent, these, service providers, people who can help run their business. And you bring them together, but in a cooperative way, and in a way that, we share resources. So that idea was there. It was, it was birthed. I was working on it. It was, pretty laborious. And then I discovered Web3 and DAOs and Haifa and seeds and all that. And it was like, okay, now this is a mechanism, now that it became a lot more actionable to me.
The mechanism was just to solve that sort of core societal problem, which is the distribution and how we support the unicorns and the rest of the people in the process. So like if one of those businesses goes unicorn, great, because it lifts up the whole ecosystem too. And everybody else that's small, that becomes like a mother tree that's like toroidal flow of value for the ecosystem. And so so that incentivizes us not to compete with each other. What it incentivizes is like, okay, everybody's independent. Let's go. And like, okay, I'll help you this week, this month, or this year. And then you can help me with this project next year or whatever. And then we start to measure that contribution. But the main thing is we're getting all of the photographers in a market to support each other rather than compete with each other. If one of them is unicorn, there's always going to be the most successful and the least successful in the market. And we just bring them all together, and then everybody else is in the between. And then that most successful one, fine. It's helping to support the whole guild or the whole co-op or the whole, but photography is too niche. You have to have a whole system with holistic is like the design, but the W is the key, because you need property rev, you need management, you need banking service, you need financial mutual funds, insurance, all of that stuff, food, healthcare, education. So, but it can all be woven on this ecosystem that we're building ultimately. And in that way, if like one industry goes up, it lifts up the rest of the, and it's everything is connected in this like woven.
Yeah, that's right. And then, and then one that's okay, I'm not so successful now, that doesn't, like if that business has hits a speed bump that doesn't, completely, destroy and dismantle, the whole thing. It gives you, some more leeway. So coming from that basic model and that idea, and then, really, which I love to, answer your question, is to bring it more and more into the, into the here and now. And what are we, what is the action plan? Right. So, so really the first step, for me, and so the first step for me was to say, okay, well, let's build the foundation, and so I have, Holistic Systems has been going, I've been doing the work for longer, but Holistic Systems has been around 1.5 years. We have clients, there's team members, there's some, I wouldn't say it's a like financially successful business yet, but that's because it's, creating this different model that we're just starting. So you have the foundation, you have what you found, which is this entry point, for people. And so where we're at, now is this place of, okay, there's this model, there's this kind of like, the model's there, the platform, is there, but we need to get it started. And so really, it's like that, if the business model is like a platform business model in a sense, then there's that chicken and the egg problem, which is, well, do we start with clients? Do we need, clients, and then money comes in, and then we can, pay people to, to bring in team members, or do we start with team members and then have like, and this is, basically the strategy that I've been, working with, which is, okay, let's like bring in enough people, and put, who are interested, people who want to work, people who want to be on the roster, people who are already doing things, and build up a little bit. So that way we go out and we start to find clients and, sell things. There's actually people who can do this service. And I like that strategy, right? So then therein comes in Basil and D Studio. So we haven't really been collaborating for all that long, but we've been in this Haifa DAO ecosystem. And so, what we did, I'll just, I don't know, I like visual examples. I can share my screen with you. And
this is very exciting, very, very exciting. I have some things to share that.
Yeah.
Totally compatible with what you're saying.
Yeah, this is an amazing video that I was watching. Okay, so here's, right, so I don't know if you've been on the Haifa, the DAO, ecosystem. This is the DAO platform, and it's, being built.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I did join HCS.
Oh, great. Oh, perfect. Yeah. All right, yeah, then I should, be able to find you there. Right.
By the way, I've been working with local scale for a few weeks already.
Oh, great. Okay. There you are. All right, let's enroll you. Oh, I need my, all right, I'll do it in a little bit. I'm using my phone as my camera, so.
Sure.
But I'll, right. So, yeah, we'll get you in soon. Right. Okay. So, so basically, the idea of holistic systems is, that we have, we have all, all of these people who can, come together and provide support for, for small business clients, depending on their needs. And so, right. So one thing that clients need, and that holistic systems, has been doing, is, we've been doing like video and media for folks, right? So that's, something that we want to, I'm just putting in another visual example. So that's something, that we've been providing for clients and want to provide. And then, I start talking with Basil and, in D Studio here. And that's what, that's primarily what they do, is media, media production and, other things. I don't want to pigeonhole them there, but, and so at that point, and there was even a little bit, a little, something impulse in my body, to be like, oh, well, this is a competitor, right? At that point, you say, oh, okay, well, like we're trying to provide the same service, therefore we're competitors, and that's what our, culture, teaches us. But instead, we just have, like a conversation, and we name that, and we say, well, I don't know, how do we work this out? And because, we're of the same mind, we basically said, okay, well, let's, like that's kind of the whole idea, is to expand the circle. It was this circle as itself, and then there was this circle as itself. And now, basically the holistic system says, oh, okay, well, now we have all of these people, these resources, at hand, for clients. And then any of the people who have been doing, who have been doing like the video, editing and production, it's not that they get forgotten from holistic systems. It's just, there's more roles to fill. And so they can come over here. So that's how we met, and I love it. I just have been, really, enjoying that idea of finding people and saying, how can we collaborate, and then bringing everybody in, to where they, where it works, best.
This is let me just interject something here. This is like imaginal cells becoming organs.
Yes.
Voila.
Well,
Voila.
even better, because we are like multicellular organisms already. Even better, look at how an ant by itself versus a colony of ants that have figured out how to work together to build like superstructures and like work
Yes.
together. And so that's where we're heading, and that's what this stuff is allowed us to do, so that we can become superhuman organisms. That's what you're looking at, where like we are all a node, and we are all a processor, and we're learning how
Yes.
to connect all these processors. And what Nestor is doing there with us being able to visualize our ecosystems, and then we just have roles. So what Joost, who is the creator of Nestor, and I and a few others inside Haifa from the very beginning, we were looking at, okay, here's this self-organizing group of people with egos coming together. How do we process this? And so like I spent the most time with him in the people circle and like learning about that human side of things, the human-centric point. And then what he came up with was to separate the soul from the role, so that people don't do this positioning game.
Wait, is that an insight that came from you?
From Joost in our
From Joost.
process.
Okay.
Yost is it? Yeah.
Yeah, from Nestor.
From Nestor. So that was what we saw. It's like, okay, so now we just put, like, when we need to create a system, we're like, okay, we need to build a house. Well, we know what roles are needed for that. So we just like house, template, circle with all the roles in it. And it's just a function a project ready to fill
Correct.
the roles and go.
Correct.
And then we have that global network of human resources that are all badged. And we can like have the sort of lead team, like they don't even need to meet the people. Oh, they're seeds. They've worked for Haifa before. They've done this for them. They got these badges. Like, cool. Yeah, we want them. And then you fill the thing, and it can either be self-organized, applicate, whatever. The point is so that we can get the efficiency of like corporate, bam, like bam, boom, done,
Sure.
military, bam.
Sure.
And and then we can get that precision and accuracy high with this human approach where people come together and maybe exhaust themselves a bit. A little blood, sweat, and tears is good for the engine. And then you make a masterpiece. And then you go over here, you take a
Sure.
break, you go. Part of what D Studio is providing or creating, and we'll have somebody that's a specialist in this emerge, and we'll go there. But the D residency program for all the artists and talent, we have all of our science. That's what I started with, was like building that residency program there for the artists and the scientists. And now we have a global network of these places. We just have to like handle this tokenized movement, it'll work.
Yeah.
Beautiful, fantastic. I do have a lot to share, and in the time, because I want to keep going with this flow that
Take
we
your
have.
time. We have a
Let
life.
me-
Yeah,
Excuse me.
we have a life to.
Yeah, no, I know, but there's so much that I want to share. But okay, so
Yeah, well, I can sort of, finish up on the journey, we're taking to like the real present here and now.
yeah, one just question. Nestor is a holocratic organization. Is that what it is?
It's an organization. It's just an organizational tool, and you can use sociocracy, holacracy, or whatever you want in it. It's just
For holonic relationships.
Yeah.
Okay, which is complementary to Haifa, because is the idea of handling the relationships in terms of roles.
it's fully integrated with the Haifa.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not fully integrated technically, but as far as the mind, because of the design of Haifa, the design of Nestor, Joost designed Nestor first, then he came in and helped design Haifa and the circle, all of that. And then
Okay.
now, and Julio also was within Haifa helping design the DAO structure. He was the one that like did all the archetype work. And so him and Joost are leading Nestor now.
Okay, right. I'll be very interested in how we, HSC, will fit in the bigger ecosystem.
It's already there. What it's already happened is HSC, boom, like forms like, Tester with DStudio, and quickly others, Nestor will have to come, with Nestor, and then we are all connected, right? And then we're starting to operate as a ecosystem so that we're sharing the load, and leveraging the best talent for every task that we have on deck. It's like chairs in an orchestra. You need them all, but you have the ones up front that kind of are the leaders that given time, and then they're moving, and then we like I said, like in one market you have the talent spectrum, so we want to serve everybody.
Yeah, and I think that right. I think going right along with that, I think part of what holistic systems cooperative can do is to be actually facilitating all of this movement, all of this value exchange, all of this like resource exchange, being really saying like facilitating all of the persons, the team members. Where do people want to go, need to go? How are we bringing people in? So I think that's a lot of it.
Coordinator, right? You have that
Right.
element, because what you're doing right now for DStudio with the Asana is you're organizing DStudio. Then we look at Nestor and we see how we're all interrelated. We're going to like make that better. But then the point is then we have our operations boards, our communications, and we start to just like harden that stuff. So then holistic systems has many DAOs in one database, so that we're able just to like really manage that sort of cross DAO operations. Like, hey, we need to do this mega event, so we need permatours, we need HSC, we need DStudio, we need this, we need that, and we have to coordinate all of these DAOs as entities. So we're sending proposals to the DAOs for services. And then we're connecting like projects between DAOs. So it's not even centered in one DAO. It's like a ecosystem project.
Go ahead, Rob, and then I'll add something else. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. No, I love it. I love it too. Yeah, and so that's right. I think that's the idea, and then it's also right. So that some of these DAOs are also clients, right? So we're really the lines between like customer, and service provider, get blurred in the best way, possible. And so it's right, and it's also but then new, so it's sort of inter DAO help, but then part of it is like, okay, how do we then bring in new clients? How do we bring in new people to the ecosystem, new community members? Because and this now it almost that leads to the very present moment and the brass tacks of now, right? Which is like, I still got to eat, and I still have to pay rent, right now in the here and now, and building this thing, and and we're like our target audience at this point, isn't big corporations with lots and lots of money. It's small businesses. So not that we won't take
like DStudio
money, but
working with the big corps for the past year on purpose, just to re-enter the market. So CNBC, LinkedIn, all Bloomberg.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true, and that might be a way where holistic systems,
and these mega project developers, and obviously Mike Mitchell, who's leading our Better Worlds like platform development, and then our corporate partner in Vancouver for our global media, grassroots media network. Hubcast. So we have the corporates, and all of them are in startup mode. And so what we have to do is like, instead of them having to go hire employees, we have to go to them with contracts to manage services. And we give them studio as a service. We give them project management as a service. And we put in these packages for these, because then if they have a strong team that they know that they can count on, but they don't have to handle the HR and the employees and the W-2s and all of that, then it's just like we can scale with you, but you don't have to like hire every time you need to scale. It's just like, oh, you need a bunch of waiters. We got a network of waiters in that market, future. But like, it's like the goal is allowing entrepreneurs, startups to have a full marketing, creative, meta media team because in 3 years, any brand that's not in the metaverse is like missing out. That's going to be the next major, like that's where all the advertising is going already. So we have to help brands stay small, stay lean, but be able to compete on a global marketplace. And so yeah, so we
Yeah. So I see that here we are actually implementing the saying from Buckmaster Fuller that you don't go from outside to disrupt a system from within. And what I see here in particular is things have been emerging from Seed, from HiFi, from Nestor and everything. And what I see here is that HSC is a Hellenic Systems Cooperative. We are coming in to do kind of context as a service, ecosystem coordination as a service, in which that then we're contextualizing all the end people enter into the ecosystem, and we are coordinating the roles that these organizations play in the overall ecosystem, and henceforth also helping them become a DAOs or create DAOs that add value to the ecosystem in a collaborative way. And then every new DAO that comes in just represents more opportunities for the people already in the ecosystem that we're coordinating to have different roles to play in a different way. I have a core design principle for that. What I envision is the ecosystem, the economic system that is going to ultimately work completely. That the core principle for moving to completely from competition to collaboration is an ecosystem that designates an inclusive role for everyone to realize and capitalize their unique potential. Inclusive role, unique potential. That basically gives us the network effect at the human level. Human-centered network effects. That's how we transition from extractive competitive to regenerative collaborative cooperative. And I have all that in different models. I have presentations, I have all this that I want to share, and so I'm fascinated because this is basically what I come about to do. And so I'm so glad I found this. And with that, I say a way to explain our model that I see is that you and me are the product. You and me are the customers. The product is us. As we come in as individuals, we could be the customers as being the DAO or want to create a product, but I can also be part of the DAO that helps others. So while I am helping others, others are helping me, and we're all helping each other create our DAOs and grow together. And in a non-compete way, we're completely. So we're shifting from creating creating marketplaces that provide things that people need to creating purpose spaces for people to fulfill, to find roles where they can fulfill what they already have from within.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. And that's the beauty, that's part of, I think, my mission and purpose in life, is to help people be in their mission and purpose.
And that is one of the most significant things, right? We go from a driven by satisfying life survival needs to being driven by fulfilling life potentials, potentials, purpose, to fulfilling our highest purpose.
Right. Yeah. And when somebody is when somebody's in alignment with their highest purpose and doing that, doing that work that they, are here to do, is in alignment, that they love to do, that they're great at, that's going to create the best, output, the best result,
Sure.
no matter what.
When
And
you're,
if you have a bunch of people doing that, you're just,
Absolutely.
that's magic.
when what you do is in alignment with your life purpose, you'll never work a day in your life.
Well, that's right.
This is awesome. Fantastic. This is
I haven't worked since I haven't worked in 30 years. Yeah.
yes,
lot, but I haven't
yeah, well, same here. Same here. And now this is the most exciting times as we are validating the reality of what we have been envisioning and as a possibility. Here we are actualizing it. This is fascinating, guys. And so, wow. Okay, so a lot to share still. And and I think that we're finding structurally or operationally, how do we align to while we begin to collaborate in the next few weeks to have you identify any particular outcomes, any particular milestones that we want to achieve? Is that already clear, or what are the questions that we need answered?
Yeah. Well, I think, right. I mean, Basil can, Basil and I, and D Studio and Holistic Systems are coming together. But, Basil can probably, I'm sure answer that, on behalf of D Studio, on behalf of like Holistic Systems, what, and I've got my, to-do lists, and it's not my, like this is up on Notion, which everybody can, which is, accessible to the public. But this is sort of like, oh, okay, we've got this big, this to-do list, and where do we start? This is where I've been starting. And of course, this can change as every new person, from my perspective, every new person that comes in, like how Holistic Systems then go, like what the plan is can shift a little bit.
Sure.
But right now, the biggest challenge that I'm coming up against is my time and my resources, meaning like I can't do enough. I can't, so I'm already serving, clients. I'm already doing project management. I'm already, I'm trying to talk to as many people, as possible. So, for me, like the biggest thing is, okay, let's bring some other folks in that can do some of these projects, that can do some of this work, that can fill some of these roles, right? And these roles are
go back. You can already check off something.
Okay.
Yeah, let's process those packages, but go down to compensation, or no, not compensation, but figure out where was it? No, up on no, where was it? Right there, distribute first tokens. How to do this? Definitely just like through the DAO. So yes, either they wait, or you don't need to you're not going to be airdropping them to them. Just have them like submit just for tokens, no cash token, no
like
voice token.
already...
You can even tell them like no voice token. It just depends on the situation. If they're doing work, voice token. If it's for like expenses, no voice token.
Right. Right. And and actually, so I guess we have already started to do that.
That needs to happen pretty soon. Like I said before, like you need to at least start getting some more tokens, voice tokens specifically, so that like,
well, I did that.
Okay,
I did that. Yeah, I've got a lot now.
So you're like 90% right now.
I'm like 90%. Yeah, no, it would be hard to do a hostile takeover at this point. Yeah,
that's something that people need to know. Yeah.
No, that was a really good point. Yeah. It could have been very funny. It could have been very humorous. But no, I put in my initial Genesis contribution. So, the short answer really is what I've, is okay, well, there's like a big to-do list, right? There's a lot of things, could be doing and trying to, we're trying to also figure out, okay, how do we run the treasury? How do we pay people now? Like, Basil's been working on, okay, well, what kind of, corporation, LLC, co-op do we need to become? But there's, right, oh, this was my point. So there's kind of like, two kinds of, general roles, right? There's the DAO creation and the building, what we're doing here. And then, there are the roles that are filled actually for the clients. So really for me, it's about, hey, can we get some other folks coming in, start to collaborate, start to work as a team, even if it's a small team, really, I mean, what we're talking about is like people who are like partners, coming in and saying, like, hey, I'm looking for partners because this is not, I don't own Holistic Systems, anymore. It's not mine. And so, it's just as if we were saying, hey, let's form a partnership and build this business. And that is essentially what I'm saying, but I'm just saying it to everybody and anybody. And I think that's the that's the way forward, at least as far as the here and now. I could get into specific to-do items, but that I don't know that that's necessary. Does that sound reasonable to you all?
We are on the path. We are on the path. We have the tools. The tools have gone through some heavy, like, stuff and are ready for us to start to work with. And then the economic bottom line is all I'm focused on. And then the security of that, especially considering what has just happened. From the beginning, my instinct was like, if every single person pretty much is like its own legal entity shell that has like jurisdictional protections and, in some cases like insured monies and things like that, then we can do it. But if we put all the pressure on one entity to try to handle a global ecosystem, oh my God, like nightmare. So we need to be able to bring in the monies through our independence. So like, right now, like Holistic Systems is still small, D Studio is still small enough, but even D Studio isn't operating as itself. It has independence. It has production company Bangkok for that side of the world. It's got consultancy in Paris for EU, and maybe the D Studio co-op for global might sit up there for like something. And then in America, we have Marsh Media Services, LLC, and then other entities, and we have 501c3s, Better Worlds. And then we just set up another production company to handle our high-end filmmaking, which is my real job, to tell this story, called Borrowed Lands, with our Native American lead business here in Tulsa. That just started up this past week, and we got a fiscal partner in LA for foundational funds and crypto. So we'll be able to bring in crypto and cash into a foundational fund for media and event metaverse production through this stuff. So getting those funnels so that we have foundational money coming in, we have grant funding coming in, we have business operations, we have corporate monies that are always there, we have institutions, and then we're starting up all these businesses on the DAO ecosystem. And then each one of those then gets connected into that. And then we're building that sort of global sort of sharing mechanism for the resources, and then ultimately the pieces of each other. So we're all cross-staked in each other. Like everybody's invested in everybody else.
Yeah.
That's what we want to get to.
Yeah, basically, but for me right now, it got a little bit confusing in the sense of me coming in, right? So I'm coming in. Let's think about, okay, so how do we onboard me into what, right?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the first question that I would ask you. Right when you jumped in. Of course, that pops into my mind, which is, okay, what are your skill sets? What roles can you play? What are you bringing? And then, we start from there. Yeah. So that, I mean, but
right, and then. For me to do that, I got to see what instead of like, what is the game, so I can identify what is the role that I can best play for the game that we're playing. Yeah. And
Okay, I have maybe the first opportunity for you that's up. So we're doing it'll be potentially an ongoing, constant restore-a-thon exercise that involves a 4-week hackathon situational. So the first one's going to be on East Palestine, Ohio. The next one is on Turkey, Syria, the earthquake zone. And so these hackathons, with the intent to, at the end of these hackathons, there's going to be a rave for the kids to like have the entertainment at the end of each of these, but then there's going to be the pitch. So through this process, we're bringing together the masterminds from around the world to kind of come in as teams. We can send teams from like Haifa and send teams in to like try to solve problems, and we come up with these solutions. And then at the end, there's like the prizes and awards or whatever. But the main thing is like the pitch to get the contract, to get the funding, to do the project, whether that's remote autonomous vehicles to handle like the getting rid of the stuff so that we're not toxifying people in the process of cleaning up our mess, whatever it is. But circular economic systems, agricultural related stuff, all kinds of different issues that we're facing around the world. And so that process is going to take the coordination of our permatours, like event team for the ground events, multiple event teams in multiple places. Is going to all of our tech and our media and our broadcast, and then our metaverse. We have our metaverse team. That's with Brian leading that. And then we have to project manage all that. And then we have to have this dope design, like Airtable with everybody, every guest, every musician, every artist, like every competitor in there. We have the teams, and we facilitate this coordination for humanity year after year after year after year. And so that's starting now.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
starting
okay. So here's what I see what you're saying is that the question, how do we onboard people? Well, we onboard people actually onboarding in a new ship. So we have to build the ship. And then what would it take to build a ship? In this case, this project that you just say, we need to do all these things. So we are going to be onboarding people that can contribute directly to building the ship that we want them to onboard to. So you have already articulated a project that you two have agreed that this is something good that you can do together. So here I come. Okay, well, this is what we're doing next. And as you learn and as you incorporate of becoming part of the DAO or of the organization or of the team of the network, how can you begin to contribute directly into this project that we are doing, right? So I understood correctly what you explained, Basil?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that, yeah, I think so. I mean, really, it's like, in really practical terms, it's like, hey, this is a potential job. This is a potential job that's coming through. We have a, like a potential client here. So, and these are the roles that we need in order to be able to provide this service to this client. So, so then it's like, Jeff, do your skill sets match any of those roles? I mean, that I think is a very, that's a very, kind of practical base level way, to say that. And I think that that's true, that's true in two broad, circumstances. For like, okay, we have a client coming in and they need, they need services and we need people in certain roles for that. And then the second one is, hey, we're building this DAO, we're building this, this co-creation. What roles, could you fill in, in doing that and growing that, facilitating that, right? Whether that's, outreach to people, whether that's like fundraising, whether that's, building, like resource sharing systems. And so, yeah, that I think is the real practicality.
Okay, so I did identify that you have already articulated a list of roles that you're looking to have people come in and begin to fill for HSC, yeah?
Correct.
Right. So building HSC in itself is one of the projects that we're doing, right?
Exactly.
On another side, there might be a project from the studios that that could also have the roles, opportunities for people to come into play. Yeah, and like I would like that for everybody. So then I think that strategically, right, one of the companies, I think HSC, will be the one that begins to offer this coordination of articulating and contextualizing projects for potential clients, and structuring the according to the goals and milestones and purposes, then articulating the roles according to the archetypes, and and then what are the skill sets, and that so we specify this, so we specify the projects and the attributes of the projects, and then we can articulate the roles and the attributes of the roles, so we can have a matching system. That's the model that I have, which I call the core realizer, and I have identified that, and it's compatible with the new value correlation paradigm that I would love to show you guys. And this is something that I could immediately contribute to enhance our capabilities to begin to do what we're speaking about here. And I do then think about, this is how we can then go to Haifa and to Raki, and begin to use all the tools to begin to show them how we can then become this this coordinator as a service for bringing all the DAOs that are going to be using Haifa and Nestor and local scale in this new way that we are implementing, that we are actually co-creating by coming together, because we are the model for how we're going to then enable everybody else to come together and again play as many roles. So that yeah, so well, okay, yeah, this is fascinating. This is good. So wow, what's next?
Yeah. Yeah. What's that? So it sounds, it sounds like you have, right, that you've been working on this model for actually, doing, like, for the actual coordination of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would love to show you that. So maybe one of the next things that we could do is let's set up a time where I can show you what I have, and yeah, so you can actually begin to see, and we might come up with the much more clear way for the way that I could start contributing in a more specific way with, and then what the value add that my understandings can bring to what we're doing together. So maybe when do you think we want to set up a time for us to do that?
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. So it sounds like you're, right. Like now, sort of the starting place is you're bringing, what you're bringing is all this work that you've been doing, and this model that you've been
I'll
creating.
share with you guys some pretzels that illustrate a lot of who I am, where I come from, what is it I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and you can begin to see how all that could fit in there. And then we do a presentation, and you might have some questions, and then we begin to integrate.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'd love to hear it. And and just to be clear, like, so like, there's not, like, Holistic Systems doesn't have a treasury, right now. I mean, there's not
even $100,000.
Not even a couple 100,000, just.
I understand.
Not even, yeah. So okay, yeah. No, I just want to be, clear on that.
Yeah, no, I'm clear. That's so. But also, I like very much that you say we want to change the model, and we want to make sure that it works for everyone, and starting with us, right?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, that's the beauty, is that we can be that model for how to do it.
Right. I do, in that respect, as far as funding, I do have a couple of incubators and projects that are looking for projects that I think that we fit very well, that we can get grants or we can get funding from that, like, right away. this
That's
month.
great.
I mean,
No,
this month
good.
is the time to apply. So
Oh,
I do
okay,
think that
good.
yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that. I mean, that's an idea that's already been here. I have this list, of incubators and accelerators with some funds that, to apply
Right.
to. And honestly, man, I just don't I don't have the time to even get to the applications and write the material, So that's been my issue, but
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
definitely. And for me, it has been a matter of having a team. I just got a team.
Right, right,
So
right.
yeah, beautiful, wonderful, fantastic.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah,
Let's do
yeah.
this.
So I've been working with Nadim, Haddad,
Nadim.
Nadim, and Stefan from Local Scale for 2-3 weeks. And last week I explained to them that I wanted to create more than a market space. I came up with the idea of the purpose space. So communities begin to bring in people and begin to align with purpose, and they decided that this is a better presentation for Haifa, for another level, for not necessarily like local space. And I said, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I mean, from everything you're talking about, I think you've come to, just the right place, because that's exactly it, man. I mean, that's it. It's a space for everybody to be in their purpose, together. And then, that's where the magic comes from. That's where everybody gets their needs met. I mean, that's that's the base again, from what I said at the very beginning, is that, right, this an economic system or an economy or an ecosystem, I mean, the base level is everybody needs to just have their base needs met. And, when you have that stability, then there's so much you can do from there.
Basically, were you going to say something?
Oh, just enjoy it. Enjoy the process.
Yes.
Yeah, the difficulty now, having been doing this inside the Haifa Seeds world for a while, the challenge that we faced, that Rob and I are really hardening and focused on, is the ability to coordinate the people, because every attempt up till now was too early. We coordinated stuff, but now we have to really coordinate stuff with real things on the line. So that's where we're at. We have a glut of need. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of DAOs lining up in the Haifa ecosystem. All of them are coming into something that they have no experience, most of them. And so the faster that we can cross-pollinate,
Yes.
and the faster that you can learn the ins and outs of everything and stay up to date on where's local scale at, where is holistic systems at, and if that's your sort of mastermind, then you're a link. You can be like a link where you're helping carry the knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. When you say catalyzer of purposeful synergism.
Yeah, and so we
synergy.
We learn that.
Yeah, synergy from purpose alignment, from shared purpose alignment, and that's part of the model as well. I want us to recognize there's a breakthrough here. There's a breakthrough. Me having come in, meeting you guys for this first time, and having a conversation with profound significance is a demonstration that we embody a model of human communion that is the model that needs to be implemented for humanity to be able to evolve into the next level of civilization. That's a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. That's why I'm excited all the time, because I'm having a lot of these. So thank you for really bringing in that this present time significance of it, because these are right. And the
A
idea that,
realization,
okay,
and
even if I'm having
it's a
these
realization for
conversations,
me. Yeah, it's a realization for me because I'm experiencing it. I've thought about it, but I have always coming or like here's the thing: we're dissociated in the real world. We're all dissociated as if we could be individual self, but we don't. We're whole. We're a self as part of the whole self of humanity as a whole. Anyway, that's I will share it with that. So wonderful, fantastic. I am delighted to have met you guys. And I consider it a blessed opportunity, and I share this moment, and I'm delighted to again, my future has changed.
beautiful,
Cool.
beautiful.
So we'll see. I'll send you this, and we'll coordinate when we meet again. When tentatively do you want to have some time? Today's Wednesday, maybe next week, or if early, I leave it up to you. I'll send you the spreadsheet and
we're in like kind of a pressure test right now because we have a ton of like live projects,
right.
Some with like potential funding, some with little funding, and some with maybe big funding, and we just have to sort of nail the landing on this stuff.
Sure.
And then this event cycle, like I told about, is an opportunity for us to come together and build the stuff in the construct of a event format that
Okay,
can bring a lot of minds together.
So then I want to be informed into that, and I want to be able to come back to you. So we have these two tracks that for me to share with you, and then we'll talk about it when we have time. But then also then for me to immediately look at that what you mentioned and try to come on board to contribute to that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You will send me some emails, or how do we coordinate?
I think like this, Rob, you need to harden your system for intake people into the holistic systems database so that you know what they want to do and what they can do. And
yeah, that's
and
already,
then,
I got that. I got a form I can send you,
and then that way, like we can start to coordinate it, because what I found is I can handle about 5 or 6 people.
Well, yeah, and Beza, we talked to, this is part of how we're coordinating, and what we've talked about is that you're, like there's certain things, there's certain projects that you're working on and people that you're talking to, but it's not necessarily, might be not your job to bring on board and bring everybody into the ecosystem. Might not be your job to coordinate everything. I mean, at a certain point, you're wanting to actually do less of that. You're wanting to to go out. You're wanting to do sales or outreach. Find and then just sort of coordinate your teams, and then maybe just shoot video or whatever.
Well, my job is to tell the story, but I can't tell the story until there's a story to tell. So I have to make sure I help all of these so that we can grow all these trees and all these ecosystems, and then I can tell the story.
So why don't I just be in touch with you, Jeff, and we can, I'd love to set a meeting, and I think that, for me, I'm jumping on every opportunity, where there's people who want to come in and contribute. So
sure.
I'm not I'm not
beautiful,
waiting.
Wonderful. I want us to observe something here also. First one is that you two can use me as a test of how we grow. Like the more people we come, the more the span of the space of possibility expands. So what we can do today is not even close to what we'll be able to do when we are 10 and like that. So emerge and basically maybe or additionally from telling the story, another way of, since this is emerging, is beginning to share the quest as it is emerging, so, but anyway.
You're going to be getting Quest. The DAO, the Hypha is just about to kick into like this next mode for beta.
Yes.
And as soon as that happens, it allows us to do some things that have been really difficult to date.
Yes.
and then it's just like quests can go out for these like projects. I mean, we can do that now, but
It's
it's another overhead that like we need to like do things, and then there's this governance
Correct, correct,
overhead.
correct, correct,
But
correct.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Great, beautiful, fantastic, and yeah, all right. So we'll keep in touch. You send me some stuff. I'll send you some
yeah,
stuff, and yeah, you know, basically, I wanna be able to start contributing to the project that Basil articulated as soon as possible, and then when I share what I have with you, then we can talk about all that and how we incorporate all that.
yeah,
Wonderful, guys.
absolutely.
Fantastic,
Absolutely. I know.
fantastic.
It's a pleasure meeting you. And I just want to, want to pop in on a, for me, and you might see this on the, this week in the DAB, but on a practical note, if you know of anyone or, if you have this skill set, I'm really looking for people who can fill the role of like a project manager and like client account manager. That's a, that's a big one that I feel like is necessary to, bring in some folks. So if you know anybody who fits that bill, or then let me know. Just putting that out there. Not,
Mhm.
not required.
Yeah, no, no, that wouldn't be me, and no, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
But you-
No
but
problem.
but if there's any kind of a particular help that you need, and I'll be happy to help. And but it's not a role that I think that for me.
All
What
right,
what
great.
what technical
No,
tool, like what software-based tools are you most familiar with in the industry?
In terms of organizational, that basically I'm going to be learning what you're using. That's what I need to see. I started looking at notes and Discord and still having issues with how
Have
to
you
go
worked with
around
things like
Discord.
Airtable or HubSpot or any of that kind of stuff before?
No,
No, okay, okay. So you don't
no,
come from that.
I'm
yeah,
familiar, but not proficient in any way with any of that.
Copy.
I like Nestor very much, but I don't know how it works yet. So there's a lot of a lot that I need to learn.
yeah,
But
yeah. Well, maybe the first place to start is is just as you said. We can meet and you can show us, what you're bringing, and then that will
right,
probably help to clarify
yeah, okay,
things from there. All
fantastic.
right. Do I have your info? I mean, I know that yeah, right. I'm gonna approve you on into the
Yeah, I don't have an
into the
email for
DAO. Do you
you.
just have like an email you want to pop in the chat?
Yeah, let me do that. It's gonna be
And of course, you can always email me. Mine should be on there, but I'll pop that in as well. Tim.com. And yeah, perfect. Great. Well, such a pleasure. Let me make sure I get this in. Perfect. Such a pleasure. Thank you. Thanks,
yes.
Basil, for showing up. Basil, I'll see you, I guess, at I don't know, in 2 hours or so.
Yeah, so I just posted that Restorathon for you, Jeff.
Okay, great.
We're gonna probably update the whole website. That's just a beta or MVP.
Okay, so that's you.
That's not me. That's